Hello everyone, our moon, located 384,400 kilometers away from our planet, is currently orbiting the Earth. In fact, scientists have been studying this celestial body for thousands of years. In ancient civilizations, the moon helped people determine when to plant crops and distinguish dates from each other. On the other hand, while the mystery of the moon has placed it in a very valuable position for humans, it also has some negative aspects. For instance, the 19-year nodal cycle, which leads to unexpected rises and falls, causing disruptions and destructions. NASA scientists actually believe that by 2030, we may witness the most intense form of this phenomenon. Of course, ecosystems that adapt well to the Earth will not be unaffected by such events. We know that the moon has deep and diverse effects on the ecosystems of our planet. These effects shape many aspects of life, from tides triggering ocean rise and fall to seasonal cycles. The gravitational pull of the moon triggers tides, influencing the rise and fall of oceans. These tidal events are crucial for life forms along the coast. Tidal zones serve as crucial reproductive, feeding, and living areas for many marine organisms. This dynamic environment supports high biological diversity and is critical for the health of marine ecosystems. However, the effects of the moon are not limited to oceans alone. The phases and cycles of the moon also influence the biological rhythms and behaviors of many species. For example, the migration cycles of some bird species and the flowering times of certain plants can vary depending on the phases of the moon. This shows that the moon serves as a natural timer in the world of nature and supports the healthy functioning of ecosystems. Additionally, the moon has indirect effects on climate and weather events on Earth. The moon's influence on ocean currents and temperatures can indirectly affect weather conditions and climate models. This, in turn, can impact atmospheric conditions in coastal regions and the living conditions of organisms in these areas. Furthermore, humans are deeply connected to the rhythms of the moon. Agricultural activities, maritime operations, and even global practices can be shaped according to the phases of the moon. Therefore, understanding the effects of the moon on ecosystems and human communities is crucial for the healthy and sustainable management of our planet. So, how well have we, as humanity, adapted to both the Earth and the moon? To protect ourselves from a phenomenon called the lunar nodal cycle, we first need to learn more about the movements of the moon. Similar to the sun, the moon is an inevitable part of life on Earth and has a tremendous impact on our planet. Humans are also influenced by the moon. This influence is particularly observable in sleep patterns and emotional states. Some studies have shown that people's sleep patterns may change during the full moon and new moon phases. Reports indicate that individuals may sleep more restlessly and experience difficulty falling asleep during full moon periods. These effects are attributed to the illumination of the night environment by moonlight and the sensitivity of the water in the human body to the gravitational effect of the moon. However, the impact on marine organisms is more pronounced than on humans, especially for sea turtles and some fish species. They adjust their reproductive and spawning cycles according to the phases of the moon. The tidal effect created by the moon provides these creatures with access to their breeding areas and ensures the necessary conditions for the safety of their offspring. For example, sea turtles take advantage of high tides during the full moon to lay their eggs on the beaches, preventing the high tide from washing away the eggs into the ocean and allowing the safe development of hatchlings on the beach. Similar rhythmic effects are observed in plants. There is evidence that moonlight affects the growth cycles and flowering times of plants. Plants are sensitive to the light and dark cycles as well as the phases of the moon. These cycles, as part of plant activity, can particularly influence night-active plants. On the other hand, you might think that the gravitational forces between the moon and Earth make them rotate stably and synchronously around each other. However, as is often the case in nature, it is not as simple as we perceive. Approximately every 18.6 years, a subtle revolution occurs in the moon's orbit, causing a shift in alignment between the Earth and the sun. This shift leads to higher tides and, ultimately, pushes our planet towards a dangerous period of flooding. However, let's delve deeper into what this subtle revolution is. This event is known as the lunar nodal cycle or the motion of lunar nodes. This complex name expresses a specific feature of the Moon's orbit. You are aware that the Moon revolves around the Earth every 29.5 days. However, this orbit is not flat. To be more specific, if we need to talk about the inclination of the Moon's orbit, there is a 5-degree difference between the two-dimensional ecliptic plane where the Earth revolves around the Sun and the lunar orbit. Half of the Moon's orbit is slightly above the plane of the Earth's orbit, while the other half falls below the fixed ratio. Naturally, this means that there are 2 points marking the moment when the Moon transitions from one side to the other, and these points are referred to as the ascending node and the descending node. Moving over an 18.6-year cycle and slowly rotating around our planet during this period, these nodes themselves are what cause the issue. To better understand this, let's review what we know about tides. The Moon's gravitational pull draws water towards itself on Earth. This phenomenon occurs both on the sides of the planet close to the Moon and in the farthest regions. However, the bulging that occurs in distant regions is more due to centrifugal forces than gravity. You can liken the attraction between the Earth and the Moon to 2 dancers moving on a dance floor. In this dance, the Moon mostly moves, and the fact that the Earth is much larger ensures that our planet only sways within certain measures. Therefore, the waters located on the opposite sides of the Moon tend to move towards space due to the effect of this rotation, leading to the formation of tides. On the other hand, the Sun also plays a role in tide formation. Of course, this is a very small effect. If the Sun were closer to our Earth, it would have a greater gravitational pull. For example, during the spring tides, which occur when the Moon and the Sun are aligned, extra-large tides occur, an event that happens 6 to 8 times a year. At other times, when these 2 celestial bodies partially block each other, smaller tides, known as neap tides, occur. Now, imagine the impact of the lunar nodes on this tide. During spring tides, the gravitational pull created by the Sun and the Moon together leads to the highest tides and the greatest risk of flooding. However, the Sun and the Moon never align more than they do at a nodal point, so tides are calmer at other times. On the contrary, when alignment occurs, as it did last in September 2015, serious flood warnings were issued in the UK and the US. In fact, during this period, there were some minor flood incidents. However, the real damage occurred a few months later when the lunar nodes came into play. For example, in October, sudden flood disasters in South Carolina, USA, caused significant material damage and threatened human lives. By the end of December 2015, the United Kingdom was shaken by the worst flood seen in the last century. Yes, we witnessed how devastating these floods could be, but NASA's concern about the alignment in mid-2030 is not solely due to these floods. It is not just about the potential flood periods seen throughout human history. There is another factor we should consider. In fact, the danger lies in the alignment of the next node with the Sun, which will cause destructive consequences. The real peril here is the conjunction of this phenomenon with an already tense system. Moreover, the current system is even more tense than in 2015. Climate change has led to a steady rise in sea levels in recent years. If this alignment occurs in 2030, according to a new study conducted by NASA's Sea Level Change Science Team, flood dangers will be experienced on almost all continental coasts of the United States, reaching an unprecedented magnitude. Some predictions suggest that this nodal alignment could lead to 4 times more flooding within 10 years, causing damage to infrastructure and fundamentally affecting coastlines worldwide. This implies that human life will be affected by these floods in terms of housing, clean water sources, and electricity, as well as an inevitable increase in waterborne diseases such as hepatitis A and cholera. Furthermore, the withdrawal of floodwaters can create water pools that may contribute to the spread of other diseases like malaria. On the other hand, this situation will create a chain reaction on economic problems, as these natural events, along with the increasing cost of insurance, can make coastal living unsustainable. In conclusion, the lunar node cycle will likely harm the quality of life in poorer coastal regions where infrastructure cannot be rebuilt. Nevertheless, we are not the only ones affected by this situation. Ilya Rocklin, a professor at Rutgers University, points out that tides during this period reveal the importance of salt marshes, vital habitats for various species, and potential drowning of living organisms. Additionally, salt marshes host a multitude of marine life, including 75% of the fishing industry. In summary, the moon, despite its spiritual beauty, harbors a force that could potentially devastate communities. Being aware of these events is a good step towards understanding our current situation, making informed choices, and seeking undiscovered solutions. After all, there is a situation we must eventually face, and to overcome it, we need to use our adaptability and survival instincts, not against the planet, but in harmony with it. Maori University's ecologist, Ne Sant, revealed the significant impact of the lunar node cycle on the expansion and contraction of mangrove vegetation covering the Australian continent. The analysis showed that the peaks of the cycle coincided with the mangrove cover, demonstrating the profound influence of the cycle on mangroves when at the minimum node strength. While this ecosystem thrives during the minimum strength of the node, mangroves experience substantial growth when the phenomenon reaches its peak. Mangrove covers are beneficial to nature as they protect wildlife and coastal areas against flooding caused by climate change. They are complex ecosystems that play a crucial role in fighting for the preservation of biodiversity and coastal zones. Additionally, they can absorb 4 times more carbon dioxide than rainforests of the same size, making their growth vital for the future of our planet. However, without adequate preparation for these events, coastal cities and their surroundings may face a serious crisis. The crucial question then becomes, what can we do about it? One method is to enhance protection. As mentioned earlier, mangroves can serve as a shield against flooding that affects communities along the coastline. Mangroves, or plants with similar capacities, can reduce wave height and energy by regulating the height of passing waves. According to reports, well-managed mangroves can have wave height in a passage of just 100 meters. Sparse forests, with fewer roots and branches, would require a 500-meter area for a wave to decrease by half. Therefore, preserving and spreading mangroves or plants with similar capacities could be a significant precaution against upcoming floods. Another possible solution is learning to live with conditions where floods are intense, trying to adapt to nature rather than resisting it. For example, let's take a look at the measures in the Netherlands, where about a third of the country is below sea level, and another third faces the risk of flooding. The Dutch government has constructed facilities like holders, which are structures that work with water, managing rising sea levels. Holders, with the help of dikes, drainage channels, and a pump network, prevent excess water from flowing back into the sea or river. These structures can be used to protect homes, farms, and factories, making them widely utilized across the country. Additionally, the Netherlands has built dams to keep marshland dry and utilized sand dunes for protection. This showcases how well the country has analyzed nature and understood how to coexist with it. In conclusion, our moon, which has been with our planet for millions of years, hides a force behind its spiritual beauty that could destroy communities. Still, thanks to the studies conducted, we are aware of these events, so there is no need to panic. Of course, this is valid only if we choose a scenario where we do everything right. Understanding our current situation is a good step towards making informed choices and seeking undiscovered solutions. After all, there is a situation we must eventually face, and to overcome it, we need to use our adaptability and survival instincts, not against the planet, but in harmony with it.